I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? It is a great day. And I'm excited about my next guest. See, she has a unique gift that she can heal. Well, no, I wouldn't say heal, but tell you how to heal a lot of different things. And to the point where her brother was dying and she went against all advisement. And today, 2 years later, coming out of hospice, he is better than ever. I want to welcome to the show, Vicki Mizel.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you, and it's a pleasure to be on your show.
Oh, the pleasure's mine. The pleasure's mine. Okay, so first of all, let's go back a little bit and tell us about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to a wildcatter father, very down-home Okie, and a mother who really had trained to be an actress and a singer. And she had to take care of her parents, so she didn't follow her dream and did not end up having the full life that she had hoped to have. And so that taught me that you have to live your dream, otherwise you lose your life. And so when I was in my mid-20s, I was a school teacher, and I learned this memory system. And I thought, this is a way that everybody in the whole world could train their mind so that they could be so creative that they could fulfill their dream. And then everybody would be a happy person and we'd have a happy world. And so that became my original thing. Was I wanted to get this memory system, not just, I was living in San Diego and I did a pilot program, and all the kids ended up going within 2 weeks. They were raising their test scores and their grades at least 1 to 2 levels.
That is
and
awesome.
So I wrote to Reagan, who was the president at the time. And I said, this memory system has just knocked my socks off, and I'm completely committed to bringing this forth to education. And here's a set of audio tapes on the memory system. And they misinterpreted my enthusiasm and said, we can't endorse this. And I wrote back, I said, I don't want you to endorse it. I want you to use it, because Reagan was already struggling with memory at the time.
Wow. And so what happened?
Well, I started going to businesses to see if they would underwrite education. And I got into IBM, started teaching how to remember names to corporate, and teaching them how to give presentations using the memory system. And then I was teaching, and I ended up teaching memory training in the schools as a consultant from 1985 to about 1983 to 1989. And then I couldn't really get the kind of sponsorship I was hoping for from corporate, but I did fall in love with New York, because I was leaving San Diego to go have meetings and do trainings in New York. And then in San Diego, we lost our funding. And so I thought, what do I do now? And so I actually had developed such an amazing memory from teaching the memory system from 1983 to 1989 that I decided I wanted to be an actress. And so I moved to New York to act, but I went broke. So then I teach during the year and then act in the summers. And then I ended up teaching both the memory system through the Learning Annex. I don't know if you, the Learning Annex. It was a company that basically set up seminars.
Oh, okay.
And they would, it was easy for me when someone else filled the room and got the people in there. So I taught that. And then they said they had a new business course and wanted to know if I could help people change careers or make a dream for their vision for their career. And so I created another course called Passion Quest, Finding the Work You Love, Loving the Work You Do. So for about 20 years, I taught through the Learning Annex, and then I taught in the schools. I think no one knows me because I wasn't really entrepreneurial. I never had that money behind me. I was more dedicated to memory training in the schools and education. And then my uncle got Alzheimer's, and so then my interest went toward old people.
Mm. Now, Alzheimer's,
Yes,
is that reversible?
it can be improved. It can definitely be improved. And as we had chatted a little bit before, 99% of the doctors are telling people there's nothing you can do. And I want all the listeners to hear this. There is something you can do. There are many things you can do to help improve the brain, whether you're brain injured, dementia, or Alzheimer's. And the reason why doctors are saying that is that they need to have about 500 tests, control studies, being able to prove something works before they can tell people about it. And there were a lot of doctors that weren't really in the memory business because there's not a lot of money in the front end of the memory business, especially with somebody who's, quote, declining. But there are a couple of doctors. There's a doctor named Dale Bredesen, who's out of San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
and he wrote a book called The End of Alzheimer's.
Mm.
So if people are willing to wonder, and really say no to the status quo, which is there's nothing you can do. Even the Alzheimer's Association is telling people there's nothing you can do, and it's a lie. It's just a lie, because I witnessed in 1983, when I got started with this, that Alzheimer's people were improving. They
Mm-hmm.
were remembering things. They remembered one particular group I had at a place called the Alzheimer's Family Center in 1983 through the San Diego Community College, the Dean Ortega St. John, who's now passed away. I met with him and he just said, I'm going to give you a chance. I want you to go heal my people, is what he said to me. And it took me about 4 months of trial and error. And then I asked the people what was the most important memory for them. And for them, it was their wedding day. So I hired an artist and had each person, and they recalled what their particular event was, whether it was the monkey grinder on their honeymoon, playing golf, the opera house, the kiss, whatever it was, they remembered. And then I got them up doing improvisation and acting out these pictures, interacting with each other, which is what the memory system is. And so, at that point, I was ready to call 60 Minutes and say, hey, we just had a breakthrough with Alzheimer's. And the doctor, who was so impressed with my work, was too embarrassed and scared, because at the time, science said the brain can't regenerate. And here I was, not an MD, proving the brain could regenerate.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So I had to wait till I was gray haired, had a master's degree, and a published book before I could come back out.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But, there's just so many different things that we don't know. Now, you said something that really kind of hit me a minute ago. You said there's not much money in the front end. What do you mean by that?
It means that it's not sexy, memory training for old people, and memory training for dementia, memory training for Alzheimer's. You're going to be spending money on nutrition, spending money on tests, spending money on detoxing, spending money on increased protein, spending money on exercise and training. But you're going to save hundreds, thousands, millions of dollars on the back end, because they're going to be alive and cooking and moving and shaking and thinking, as opposed to in wheelchairs, becoming zombies, and people just wiping their butt and changing their bed and trying to keep them fed.
Right. So basically, nutrition and all the other stuff that you just mentioned is a good way to help prevent the onset of Alzheimer's?
It is a good way to prevent it. And also the memory system. I've been doing this memory system. I just turned 68. And I learned this when I was around 26 years old. And I was teaching it probably at least 3 to 5 days a week for years on end. So I started having increased abilities, not just improved memory, but more creativity. I'd think a thought, I'd see something, next minute it would show up in my life. It almost got scary to be, too powerful.
Oh, where can I get this?
Uh,
Where can I get this?
brainsproutsmemory.com.
My gosh. Oh my gosh.
Brainsproutsmemory.com. Yeah.
Thanks, Bounce. We're gonna have that link in the description box. I'm just amazed. Is there something like a demo or something that you can kind of like go through really quick with us to kind of demonstrate what's in the book?
Oh, well, let's see here. This is my book. It's called Love Remembers.
Love
It's under
Remembers.
loveremembers.net. And the first part of the book is how I had this amazing memory, and then I got hit by a big rig truck when I was 42.
What?
Yeah, I got hit by a big rig truck. I was in graduate school, and I couldn't remember when I went back to teach. The principal basically said, "No, you're not coming back here. In fact, you'll probably never teach again." And I couldn't remember which students were in the hallway and which were my students. It was really something.
Oh my gosh.
And it took me about 6 to 8 years to get my memory back. But I did it because I was using my own memory system basically to bring myself back. And I was teaching Alzheimer's in older adults. And that's how I was able to regenerate my brain. But I'd already had so much extra neural foliage that even though thank God I was in a really big kind of like an armored car. I was in an AMC Eagle. It totaled the car, but it saved my life.
Wow.
So the first part of the book, this is my grandma Ida.
Mhm.
This is her when she was about my age, and this is me when I was 3.
Aw.
So when she ended up with multiple sclerosis of the brain, she still could remember me, even though, it was a rough go for her. And so that's why I said love still remembers.
Mm-hmm.
So the first part of the book are stories of the older people who basically told me, what caused their dementia, their Alzheimer's, what made them stop in life. I talk about grief and loss, and that when you don't have grief therapy or new passion and purpose, that can tend to make somebody start to go down and forget.
Mm.
And then in the second half of the book, I basically explain everything that goes on in the left and the right side of the brain, how we remember things more in pictures, the 3 types of memory: short-term, long-term, and sensory. And by the way, short-term memory is only 7 to 30 seconds.
Wow.
So people say I have a bad short-term memory, and I'll say, "Why do you think so?" And they'll say, "Well, I couldn't remember that name after the third person." And I said, "That's normal."
Yeah,
So
they should have forgotten what they said to you and be like, "Hi, how you doing?"
So when you take something and you make it visual, you make it in motion and unusual, then it's easy to recall the information. And that's how
Mm.
this memory system is designed, that you take one piece of information, you link it with another, kind of like a cartoon. Here we have a piano and a cigar, and the one that most people remember is the piano smoking the cigar, because
Mm.
that's most unusual. It's got an action verb. Or if you think of a favorite cartoon, what's a favorite cartoon that you remember?
Oh my gosh. That I remember? Oh, I have so many. Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
I'm a
So
Marvel
that's
comic girl.
yeah, so that's unusual, seeing a guy climbing up a
Yeah.
building and then taking off and flying into a crowd of people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that sticks in your mind.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the basis of whether you're remembering names, whether you're remembering lists, goals, vocabulary, words, speeches, scripts, anything like that. The memory system, the foundation of it is you have 2 items, you link them together by an action verb. where the two items are touching, physically interacting, and then you recall by asking the question, what's what's Spider-Man doing? And boom, you see him, you know,
Yeah.
growing spider webs and jumping. And, in my day, it was Mighty Mouse.
Oh, Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse is here to save the day.
Right, right. And so you
Yeah.
link the two. Here we have a little dog and a cat. The dog is kissing the kitty. So you say, what's the dog doing? And then you link them together. So it's in the re-seeing, the recall and re-seeing of the picture that makes the synapse fire, and it releases more neurons. It's kind of like a tree in the springtime. You see new branches, and that's what our brain is. As you practice the system, you're making springtime in your brain.
That is so cool. That is so cool. And audio, you said you had it on audio. Do you still have it on audio today?
Yes, I don't have the book on, I mean, I've been trying to get the book on audio, but I don't have the book on audio, but I have the whole basic memory program. It's 12 lessons. It's 3.5 hours. I have it on audio CDs or MP3s, and that can be at brainsproutsmemory.com.
Nice. Brain cells. We're going to have that information in the description box again below. And I just wanted to make sure that, that we give people the opportunity to actually get that, because it is important. I mean, remembering names, it's sometimes hard, especially when, you're the kind of person that meets people all the time. I mean,
Right.
you're an entertainer, or like you said, an actress, or someone who's always having meetings and traveling. It's really hard. You end up calling Greg Gary, and Gary Greg. I mean, it's just, the G is there, but it's just like you just don't remember exactly what it is. And it can be, frustrating. So,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, in fact, I have a dementia woman I work with once a week, and she was hilarious. I said to her, do you want to remember names? And she said, yes, I do. And I said, how would you remember Joe? And she said, oh, a cup of coffee, And so I said, so Joanne is her caregiver. I said, can you see her drinking a cup of Joe? And she said, yeah, that I can see. I said, how about Bill? How would you remember Bill? And you look at the face, and you look at for an outstanding characteristic on the face. So let's say Bill had a beard. He could be growing beards. And she said, well, I don't want to remember Bill. And I said, why not? She said, because I don't want to have to pay.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh my gosh.
It's hilarious.
The
And
bill
then
is out.
I said, what about mermaids? And she said, oh, I forgot the name of that mermaid. And I said, well, where do mermaids come from? And she said, oh, they're in Florida. I said, why are they in Florida? She said, because that's where the beaches are, and they're all just hanging out.
Oh my gosh, that is too cute. That is too cute. Oh, I mean, everybody has their vivid imagination, but I mean, that is so cute. And I
She's
mean,
so entertaining to be with. Yeah.
yeah, definitely, definitely. And so, in all of your years of going through this and having the system, how many people have really responded well to it?
I'd say everybody who used it, everyone who actually tried and used it. This woman still doesn't have a good short-term memory, but amazing enough, the fourth time we went out and she ordered tea, third time she remembered that she ordered tea, and the fourth time she remembered she ordered tea.
Nice.
Her daughter said she hadn't played the piano. Thanksgiving, she sat down and played the piano. So those neural branches are going. The only person it didn't work with was somebody who didn't want to use the practice the method the way you're supposed to practice it. And she wanted to do her own thing, and then it didn't work. But
Yeah.
if you use it and practice it, some people I taught in an hour, and they said, oh, I already got everything I need, and they're still using it 20, 30 years later. And I would say I was able to recover not just one, but 2 brain injuries from having this method available.
Wow.
And I even had a gentleman, he had worked for one of the big corporations. He hired me to help him give speeches. And in the 4th hour, he paid me in full. And I said, why are you paying me in full? He said, I got what I needed. I'm already giving speeches. I can do it. Then he sent me a letter 2 years later. He said, I just want to thank you so much for this memory system. He said, I slipped on the ice 2 years ago. I had a brain bleed and became brain injured. I had to lose, I lost my job. I sold my home. My wife and I moved to Seattle, and I was with a group at the University of Seattle of other people who had brain injuries. He said, I taught them all the memory system, and we all got better together.
That is so cool. That is so cool. How does that make you feel that you're able to do these things just by a system that you learned many years ago?
Makes me feel like I've been blessed, like one of the, very, very blessed person, almost like a messenger,
Mm,
that I'm here to teach the world
mhm.
how this memory system works so that they can use it, they can practice it for whatever their needs are, regenerate their brain, and then find their gift and talent and purpose in life so that everyone can be satisfied and happy with who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you said nutrition, and I know before we came on the air, you said how your brother was in hospice and that
Yes.
they advised you not to come, but you went anyway. And he has his memory back now, right? From all of this.
Well, my brother never lost his memory.
Okay.
What happened was, after I talked to the doctor and they said it's too dangerous, we don't think you should come. I said, let me think about this and I'll call you back. And I went and I lived in a little coastal town at the time in Gold Beach, Oregon. I took a walk on the beach and I really thought about it. And I thought, number one, I don't want my brother to be alone. And number two, I don't want to be in the world without my brother. And so at that point, and then I called a spiritual teacher of mine, and he just said, I'll put you in the light of the Most High for the highest good and keep you safe. And with that, I called back and I said, I'm on my way.
Mm,
And they broke rules for us. There were husband and wife teams that they wouldn't let husband and wife see each other. They let me see my brother, and you had to mask up and everything, and my brother didn't recognize me at first, so I pulled down the mask. I said, it's me, Vicki. And he said, oh, Vicki, you're here. And he took out his hand and he looked at me and he said, I want you to help me nutritionally. I want you to find whatever you need to find to help my body fight this.
hmm
And so I called our Dr. Timothy Binder, who lives in Montana, who's a homeopath, acupuncturist, and nutritionist. And Dr. Binder stopped everything.
Wow.
And he sat down with me and spent an hour, and he just listed every single nutritional thing that I should buy for my brother and what it would do. He explained it all. And then I had a couple of friends in LA who I told what was going on, and a girlfriend sent me something about a nutritional pill called citicoline, Citicoline, different than acetylcholine, which is also very good for the brain.
hmm
But this citicoline, there was a doctor talking and he said, listen, there's no time for 500 test trials. This works. It acts as a detergent in the body, and it will wipe out the virus. And so then I called the doctor at the hospital and said, I have a list of nutritional things I'd like you to approve. They would only approve 3 of them. So I said to Dr. Binder, what do I do? And he said, just stick them in your bra and sneak them in there.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
So
at
that's what
this
I
point, I
did.
mean, how can it help? How can it hurt at this point?
Yeah. So after, I think it was the 8th day, they took him off hospice, and then or the 10th day, they took him off hospice. And then they said to me, well, your brother's better. We've taken him off hospice, but now you can't see him because he's not dying. We could only let you see him because he was dying.
Oh my gosh.
And so I called Dr. Binder. I said, well, now what do I do? And he said, well, take these. I was able to get approved for him these bottles of something called Kate Farms nutrition.
hmm
And so every morning I would open up the Kate Farms and I would take the capsules of all the vitamins and put them in 2 different Kate Farms bottles. Then I'd take it to the hospital. Then I'd wait for the nurse. They would take it upstairs, and I would call and make sure the nurses had given it to him. Then I'd call again and make sure he took it. So I did that for another 3 weeks.
Wow.
And then they called him the Miracle Man because he was 71 at the time that he got sick. And then I went home to get my cat and hang out in Oregon for a while. And then he went on to rehab. And then I flew with the cat back for another month to get him out of rehab and reintegrate back home. And what was amazing is, if I'd been through that, I'd go home and go to bed. He came home, he looked through all his mail, he looked through everything. He didn't go to sleep. 3 hours, total concentration.
Wow. Wow, that is amazing. I mean, the one thing that people don't understand is that, this is partly nutrition.
Huge nutrition and exercise. And exercise. The dementia lady I work with, she walks about three hours a day back and forth to Whole Foods, and to some other little places, but she walks and walks and walks.
Wow.
She's always in a good mood. She's 80. And then I've got another lady friend who doesn't have any kind of dementia at all. She's 94.
Wow.
And she's in really good shape. Wow. So yeah, food has a lot to do with it. I know my brother says he knows that it was Dr. Binder's formula, plus all the prayer, plus what he did. And then on YouTube, I made a video. It's youtube.com, Gary, my brother's name, Gary Mizel. And it says how I saved my brother from COVID.
We're going to definitely put that link in the description box below. Wow. Wow. Well, Vicki, thank you so much for being on the show. So your book, Love Remembers, right?
Yes.
Is available on Amazon.
Yes.
Any other place as well?
It's on Amazon. It's on loveremembers.net. And the message I want to leave everybody with is prevention is key. Do stuff now. Even if you have a great memory now, practice the memory system. If you have dementia, practice the memory system. It's really when you're basically regenerating your brain, and that's what you want to do between now and forever. You want to regenerate your brain. And then the other thing is that if anyone has a brain injury, an illness, cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, you can improve. If someone tells you there's nothing you can do, it's a lie. It's a bold-faced lie. You can improve any kind of brain injury.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow. Well, I truly believe that. And we're not coming from a doctor's point of view. We're just coming from experience. Yeah. Experience is great because it teaches us. And if you learn from this, then, you've learned your lesson. How about that?
I've been doing this for 40 years now. And a friend of mine called me on my birthday just a few days ago, and he said, "You're really lucky." And he said, "Remember 40 years ago, people 68, it was expected for them to get senile." And he said, "Here you are, embarking on continual and new things." Yeah,
definitely. Well, when I'm 68, I hope to have a brain just as sharp as yours.
I'm sure you will.
Thank you. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget that we're going to have all of those links in the description box below so that you can see, so that you can go ahead and check the book out for yourself. And also watch that video of how she healed her brother. That was just amazing. And then the love of siblings is just, irreplaceable. You don't want your brother to go if he doesn't have to, obviously. And she did the best she could. And he is still here today, just because his sister still loves him so very much. You love your brothers and sisters. You know why? Because you guys, man, I'm telling you, love remembers. Just put it that way. I want to thank you guys again so much. And don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified the next time that I upload. And don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys. I dare to be different. I dare to be different.